Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special Open Source Kigali live session. My name is Didas Marushimana, Daniel, software engineering and open source advocate, and I'll be your moderator today. We are really excited to have you all here because today's topic is one that so many developers ask themselves: how to break into open source. Yeah, for many of us, contributing to open source can feel intimidating. Maybe you think you are not ready yet, or you don't know where to start. But the truth is, open source is one of the most powerful way to grow as a developer, showcase your skills, and even accelerate your career. So, and to guide us through this journey, we are honored to have Pacifique Linjanja, a software engineer and open source contributor. So just feel free, sit back, get ready to take notes, and don't forget you can ask your questions at the end of this session, or in the lives, or in the chat. So for this time, so let us go fast, and we can welcome Pacifique to speak. All right, Pacifique, so the stage is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the talk, Daniel. So, my name is Pacifique Linjanja. I'm a software engineer with quite a few years of experience now, and I'm really happy today to I'll be guiding you guys. I think it would be more of an open discussion about open source in general and how people can get started. What are the steps to break into the open source world? Um, I am a software engineer and I also write technical articles. I also published a book recently about backend development in general because I'm a backend engineer. So I also contribute in open source projects for the past few years now. So I'll be happy today to guide you through this process, and I hope we have a lovely chat together. Daniel, can I start presenting? I think we are right on time, right? So I hope you guys can see my screen now, because I'm sharing my screen and I'll be presenting a document. Something we talked about in the few, like last year, for people who were at DevFest in Kigali and also in Kivu, I think. So it will be like we will try to talk about what is open source first. Then we'll talk about why should I care? Is it even important to contribute? Is because most of people think it's a waste of time. So we'll be sharing about what's contributing to open source brings to you as a software engineer, and we'll also share a few success stories of people who succeeded in this industry. And at the end, we'll talk about common misconceptions about open source. So this is what we'll be talking about today. And so I think for most of us, we maybe maybe we don't know exactly what is open source projects, what is an open source project, but we certainly used one of those products in the past. And an open source project or software is just a software which is opened for utilization, so people can use it in an open manner. People can contribute to it. So we'll talk about contributing and how we can contribute. But the whole concept about about open source in general is that it's a software that is open to everyone, so everyone can use it, can modify it, can distribute it. But we can have some differences in terms of when it comes to distributing. We'll talk about licensing, but in general, this is how we see open source in general. So it's something that's built collaboration between people and also transparency, because the source code is open, so everyone can audit the codes and see if there is any issue, any security issue or whatever. So why should someone contribute to start with? So there are a lot of reasons why people could contribute, and one of the reasons I really like is that you get to build in public, because we just say that the code will be open for everyone to use, and everyone can read your code. Everyone can learn from your code, and you get to share what you've learned to the community. It's actually a wider community, because open source doesn't have any border. So you can easily contribute to a project that someone from the US has started, which is actually beautiful. And you get to contribute to those projects. You share skills. You get feedback from global experts, people maybe you could never meet in the real life, but because we are both contributing to the same project, which is an open source project, you get to meet those people, and you get feedback. For example, you can get a feedback from someone from Google, like someone from those big companies, reviewing your PR and giving you feedback. It's actually amazing. And most of the projects we are using nowadays are open source. We can talk about the first one which comes in mind, which is Linux with the guy Mr. Torvald, Linus Torvalds. So he open sourced the entire Linux core codes, and it's open, so everyone can go and contribute. And I mean, as a developer, feeling like being able to contribute to such a successful product as Linux could be a flex, right? And let's talk about like career growth, right? If you have to apply to a company and you come with your PR that you submitted and that has been merged to a project like Linux, it's actually a flex, and you get a lot of chances of getting hired. So because you are building in public, everyone can verify that this code has been submitted by this specific person. It also helps build your reputation as a software engineer. So it's actually amazing if you just think about it, right? There are a lot of success stories. We just talked about Linux, but we have a lot of projects which are open source. Some of them are open for use, and some of them are even commercial. And most of those big companies, for example, Google or Meta or Facebook, they have open source projects like React or React Native, right? And you can actually have the chance to contribute to those big projects without being specifically a Google developer or a Meta engineer. which is actually beautiful. So I want to be clear about something here, like something that a lot of people misconcept about is that you need to be an expert, a 10x engineer to contribute. In fact, it can be intimidating. For example, you just open your computer and try to contribute to Linux. It can be a little bit intimidating, but that's a misunderstanding, because you don't always need to be an expert at coding. You can be good at reading, and that's a skill, because you can contribute in many forms, not only PRs. You can also create issues, because, for example, everyone can use Linux, and when you're using Linux, you can have an issue you are struggling with, and you just go to the Linux repository and create an issue. It actually doesn't need you to be a 10x engineer. Just someone who knows how to use Linux can create an issue. Or, for example, you are using React, and you just noticed an issue. For example, there is a typo error in the documentation. You can actually see that even a new developer, even someone who is actually starting with React, can see something that doesn't work in the documentation. It can be a typo error. It can be a sentence that doesn't make sense, and you can just go ahead and report that bug in the React repository. You don't actually need to be an expert. So this is something that we really need to know. And as software engineers, we need to make sure that everything, like any kind of contribution, is welcomed, especially when it comes to open source projects. Another thing we need to know about open source is that those projects are driven by communities. For example, today we are hanging out together with open source community from Kigali, right? And every community has different rules, right? And whenever you need to start contributing to a project, you need to understand how this community works actually. What are their rules? What are their values? And how can I make myself welcome in this community? Because you come in a workplace which is already set up, and people have their rules there. You don't come and set your own rules or become like you can't play it solo in an open source community. That's what I'm trying to say. And if you have a project, you need to consider everyone's opinion. If you need to implement something new that doesn't exist, or you want to discuss about an issue or a possible security issue, for example, you need to be open-minded, because since it's a community project and a lot of people gather together to share, to work on that, it can actually be like opinionated sometimes. So you need to be open-minded and be open to collaborate with mutual respect. And that's actually the key success for open source projects. So we need to be welcome. You can be the one who's maintaining the open source project or the open source community. Whenever you have new people, new members, you need to be welcoming, and so that everyone feels home. Yeah, I think this is a brief introduction about open source and how it works. And I think we just saw that you don't need to be an expert to actually contribute, right? And let me just make sure everyone is following. Okay. So the next part will be we'll be talking about how to contribute, like practically, how do I contribute, right? This is a question I think most of you guys have been asking yourself. And let me try to break it down so we see how you can get started even today and submit your first pull request today. So the most important thing is you need to match projects with your interests. This is quite okay. I think this is quite normal, I would say, because yeah, if you are a JavaScript developer, you will not you won't go into Rust communities and look for projects to contribute to. It doesn't make sense, right? So you need to identify those projects that match your passion, because you know that open source, most of the open source projects, you don't get paid, so you need some sort of motivation. You need some sort of fuel to make sure that okay, whenever I want to contribute, I will be kind of motivated to work on this project. And this project has to be something that matches your passion, or something you can do for free for hours without feeling tired. So it's very important to see those projects that match your interests cycle. For example, people who are interested into the AI industry, for example, there are tons of projects talking about AI, building AI tools, building AI assistants. Maybe you just need maybe some Python experiences, or if you have TypeScript or JavaScript SDK for that project, you can work if you are a TypeScript developer. So first of all, you need to identify those projects that match your interests. The second thing is to know that you can find thousands of projects. We'll try to demo it in a few minutes, but there are actually thousands of projects. And with the raising of AI tools, it's even crazy. Like every single day, we have new open source projects. So there are a lot of food on the table. We just need more people to share it. So that's actually the culture, the open source culture. We have something very delicious we are cooking, and we invite people to come together and share it. So we can use discovery platforms like GitHub or GitLab, Bitbucket. And there are also a few websites. I'll try to share them in the last part of this talk. But there are some platforms that help you because this GitHub, GitLab, and stuff like that, they don't really. There are some ways you can you can filter projects on GitHub. I'll show that, but it's not really like can be raw sometimes. And there are some platforms that have been raising lately. I will try to show one of them, and those platforms can sometimes pay developers for open source contributions, and it's actually easy to filter out projects of your interest from those platforms. So you don't have to spend hours, weeks, or days looking for a project to contribute to. It should be easy, like in a few minutes, to be able to identify those projects that match your interests and that are good to contribute to. Another really interesting aspect of this project selection, I think it's you need to assess the project's health, and by this I mean like most of the times, I think everyone who has contributed in open source projects can relate to this. And sometimes you're like, this is a very interesting project, let me try to contribute. And as soon as you submit your first pull request, it can get sometimes it takes weeks, maybe months to be reviewed. And as someone who is willing to contribute like regularly, those kind of projects can be a little bit frustrating. So before you decide to commit yourself to contributing to some projects, you need to make sure that this project is actually maintained, because there are some projects that have been created, and when you go to that repository, you see that the latest commit has been merged maybe 3 years ago. And for those kind of projects, it can be like a waste of time trying to contribute, like creating new PRs for that project. That maybe will not be reviewed. And also something which is really important is that we need to know, like, because all the issues are not the same. We have some issues which are for beginners. We have issues for mid developers. We have also issues for experts. So we need to know how can I identify those projects with beginner level issues. And most of those issues will be like you'll see like they have good first issue, something like that. I will show that in the demo. But yeah, you need to make sure that the project is maintained first. Second thing, you need to make sure that there are issues for the level of your interest. And lastly, you need to make sure that you understand the contribution, the code of conduct. So you contribute according to the rules for that community. So putting all together, you have much chances of succeeding in a new open source project. So yeah, I was talking about this already. Like you need to start with small issues, especially even for experts. Maybe we have some experts in the call in the webinar, but even if you are an expert, you need to really start slow, because those small issues help you understand the structure of the project. So you first go for those issues with good first issues label, and after those good first issues, you then start taking more advanced issues depending on your expertise, of course. But you need to start small. Taking a small issue or a small bug will get you will have more chances of getting merged soon, instead of taking a big PR, a big issue, maybe with hundreds of files changes. And for project maintainers, because for every open source project we have maintainers, so real people behind the project. And for those people, when they see your first PR is quite big, because they know people who are contributing regularly on the project, and when they see a new guy with a very big project PR, even if your PR is very good, I can tell you that it has quite a few chances of not being considered. So yeah, start small, use small bugs, understand the project structure, understand how the community works when it comes to reviewing. And once you feel a little bit comfortable, you can take more advanced issues. So we need to also know, like we just saw how you can find projects, but after finding those projects, you need to know, okay, I have identified my projects, then I need to know like what is the normal cycle for every contribution that I will make, from the phase I claim the issue to the phase it gets merged, to the phase my PR gets merged into the main branch. So we need to know that process, and knowing that process will also help you avoid some stupid frustration. For example, your PR takes weeks to get reviewed, maybe just because you didn't follow the project's guideline. So every project will come with contribution guideline. It's usually an empty file in the project, in the root of the project. So you get to understand how can I contribute to this project? Like what is the normal contribution cycle? And usually it starts from claiming an issue. You claim an issue, ideally, as we just saw, taking small issues is better. So you start by claiming that issue. Once a maintainer accepts that you can work on that, he will assign the issue to you and start working on that. So after working on that, I assume that you'll create a PR. And after creating the PR, we receive code reviews. After code review, a series of code reviews, we can get approved and your PR will be merged. But we need to understand that you need to claim an issue first, because we usually are in communities of hundreds of people. So if you don't claim an issue, yeah, it can be an exercise for you, but maybe one person will claim an issue and the other will not claim the issue. And whenever you create PRs, we are working on the same issue. Obviously, you're gonna get some conflicts, and it's a waste of time for the you are wasting people's time, like contributors, like maintainers, time to review two PR for the same issue. So we need to be cautious about it. So everyone is busy, so let's do it the right way. Yeah, obviously we have to set up the environments, the development environment. I would say that we usually have we usually have these guides in the README of the repository. So this is not the hard part, to be honest. So you just have to follow the README and set up your environment variable. And one of the most important skills in this open source world is the version control stuff. So you need to make sure that you are familiar with Git, because most of the projects actually they can be hosted on GitHub or GitLab or whatever, but they use Git. So I mean, I would say that this is the only skill you need, to be honest. You just need to know how to use Git. And if you are good at it, you don't even need to be really expert. I would say that you just need a few, like 5 to 6 commands that you are using every day. It can be like fetching, rebasing, pushing, reverting, reset. Those few commands, actually, I'm not even sure you use more than 10 commands on a daily basis on your open source project. So yeah, just get familiar with Git, know how it works, know how GitHub works, and that should be all you need. Actually, you don't need to be technical. The technical parts can always come with time, with training, and whatever. But you just need to be willing to contribute, and that willingness to contribute is all you need to make some success in open source. So another aspect which is sometimes neglected from developers, a lot of developers are like robots kind of things. Like I do X, I do my job, I push a PR and whatever. Yeah, it's up to you guys. Get it done, get it merged, deploy it whenever you want. But actually, you need to be good at communication. And as we saw, and those communities can be big sometimes, like hundreds of developers. There are some projects with thousands of developers. So since you are building in public, you will get feedback from a lot of people, like people with a lot of skills, maybe people with like dozens of years of experience. So sometimes you get those feedback and they can hurt your feeling, because maybe you have some ego, and whenever you get the feedback, you take it personal, right? You have to be good at communicating. Like if a review is not like doesn't make sense for you, sometimes, yeah, we are human, right? And sometimes we get some stupid feedback. you don't have to come up and say, okay, this feedback is stupid. You have to find a way to place it so that it doesn't hurt the reviewer, and it creates a communication channel that will help you guys, both of you, both sides, to resolve the matter. And most of those open source communities have collaboration or like collaboration channels, and I'll say that most of them are on Discord. Yeah, Discord, or some of them are on Slack. Some of them are on Telegram. So you need to engage with those people in that community. So it doesn't really matter to be contributing if you're not participating actively, because some decisions we take in the open source community are sometimes participative. So we need to make sure that, okay, whenever we are talking about something, you need to be there. You don't need to be someone who always you need to be part of the decision process, because it's an opportunity. It's open, so they'll give you the opportunity to be part of it. So yeah, just take the full advantage of it. Yeah, I just talked about this one. Like, whenever you get a feedback from someone, maybe he has more experience than you or not sometimes, right? But whatever you get from those reviewers, you need to be actually receptive. And yeah, you first take the feedback and you see how it can help you grow, because all the feedback you get from a lot of people, they will actually help you grow. So yeah, be receptive, and be open-minded. That's what I can say about communication and feedback. Let's see. Yeah, so how can you build a reputation? This is so important to know, guys, because yeah, in the beginning we say that open source often is free. Like, okay, you get to work for free, and sometimes those projects are more complex than projects you get paid for, right? And you need to make sure that whenever you decide to spend time on this, you need to be consistent, because you have thousands of people. People come and go. But if in the project you have been consistent enough, people will start noticing your participation. People will start acknowledging your work, and that's really the magic of open source projects, because you get people from nowhere texting you just because they saw some contributions you did on a certain project. Maybe you did those projects, you just contributed without that. You just needed to share. You just wanted to share, and out of nowhere, people come and reach out. They'll be like, okay, I saw this contribution you did on this and this and this. Can you help me with this? So you don't have the immediate advantage of open source projects until you are consistent enough. And this is very important, guys. If you decide to start working on open source projects, make sure you can commit yourself, make sure you can engage, make sure you can be consistent. You don't have to do like 10 PRs a day. No, maybe one PR, but every single day, it's already good enough, because from my experience, I can tell that people in open source projects come and go every day. And if you decide to stay, if you decide to be consistent in whatever project you decide to commit to, you have a lot of chances of getting noticed and getting more reputation in the open source community. And we also talked about engaging through those communication channels. We have a lot of a lot of projects using Discord. That's what I've seen a lot. Like people use Discord a lot, so you need to be you need to be part of the conversation. You need to be able to discuss ideas and share your opinion, so that you never know how important your contribution can be if you don't contribute at all. You know that with AI, we saw that writing code actually is the easiest part. Let's not fool ourselves, guys. Writing code has always been the easiest part, but contributing to the product, like adding features, imagining things that can be built, even though you are not the one who's gonna build it, you need to be part of the decision. You need to be part of the conversation that will involve the project. So it's very important to have to be engaged in the communication with the community in order to build some sustainable reputation. Another thing is mentoring. So as I said, people come and go, and there are a few people who decide to mentor others. For example, if a project is so big, some people need some like sometimes we need to get to get advice from a mentor, or get an internal guy who can guide people into getting started. And since it's open, everyone can do that, right? So you can decide and be that guy who will mentor others, and this will actually help you gain more experience when you are welcoming newcomers, and maybe just guiding them into how they can contribute. I would say that a lot of projects actually don't have this this program, but it's an initiative that anyone can take. Like you can decide that from now on I will be mentoring, maybe on Twitch or whatever. I'll be talking about this project that I'm working on. So there are a lot of ways you can get yourself some good reputations, and those are a few of them. So yeah, as we started by saying that you should tackle first like small issues, but yeah, you are not expected to stay on those small issues. So the longer you stay in the community, the more challenging tasks you should be taking, and you should be the guy for complex situations, because there are some people who are actually like they are involved in this thing, in whatever project they decided to commit to, that any complex issue will be first referred to them. And to be that guy, you need actually to build a reputation. And actually, like all those points above will help you be that guy. So if you are consistent enough, you are engaging in the community, you are mentoring people and helping them to get into those projects, you have more chances of being that guy for complex tasks. And you actually never know when you'll blow. And it's actually important to know, like, anytime I can be people can rely on me for any kind of challenges. So this is also important for your career. So whenever you contribute, you have public contributions. It also helps your profile to be noticed by people who are hiring, right? Because your contribution on GitHub or wherever will be open. And if someone is looking for a developer who does something you actually know how to do, it's actually easy and less risky to take someone who has proven that he can build that. And open source will actually help you guys get into those opportunities. So that's actually what I had today for this presentation. I think I will leave the mic to you, Daniel.
Yes, thank you so much, Pacifique. Right, so I have a question, Pacifique. So that's many developer asked me also, and I wanted to hear from you. So Pacifique, many beginning feel like they are not ready yet, so to contribute. But what is the simplest first step someone can take today to get started in open source contribution?
Yeah, I think if they are really willing to start, the first step would be like identifying those projects, because there are a lot of projects and you can't contribute to all of them. You don't have time for that. So you need to be specific in what you need to contribute to. So you need to be really like you need to be you need to select those projects before starting engaging. So for example, you don't really need a lot of hours to identify those projects. It's actually depending on everyone's interest. So for a few people, maybe they are interested in blockchain, for example, and blockchain has a lot of projects which are open source. So maybe something that you use every day is, let's say, MetaMask for blockchain developers. MetaMask, I think we have some Web3 adapters in JavaScript, Python, or whatever, which are open source. So you just need to identify that project. That's one project, let's say one specifically, that you will decide to commit to. I think that should be the first step, and understand how it works first, because you can't contribute to a project you don't understand, right? It's just
Yeah.
impossible. Yeah. So understand it, like have a target. Have a target. Let's say I'll be contributing to Web3.js. It's open source. Having that target in mind, understand how it works. Take some time. Sometimes it takes even weeks to understand the code base, how it's works, because imagine a project that has been developed for years, maybe 10 years, and you come today, you want to contribute, right? It will take you time to understand where those people come from until the place they are at right now. So yeah, you need to target the project first, understand how it works. That will be the very first step you need to take before you start contributing. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. So and how can a developer can make sure that their contribution are visible, you see, or recognized?
Yeah, as I said, you don't need to directly contribute technically in the code
Yeah.
base. You can even contribute in the documentation or whatever. But a contribution can be an issue, right? When you create an issue, it's actually a contribution. And if I go to your profile today and you have created an issue in whatever PR, in whatever uh, project, I can actually see that contribution. You created an issue. And creating an issue means first you know the project, you understand the project, you have used the project, right? So, yeah, to make sure that your contribution will be recognized, I would say that even an issue, even when you are creating an issue, you need to make sure that you follow the contribution guideline, because we have contribution guideline, right? You will come, like those projects will put structure, like if you want to create an issue, this is how we proceed. We need a title, we need a brief description, maybe we need how to reproduce the bug, you need to follow those rules in order to make sure that my contribution will be considered, right? If you come with your own rules, as I said, every community has their own rules. So you need to actually follow those rules in order to make sure that my contribution will be considered, right? So yeah, that's how I think. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So can you tell us more about your project? So because actually you are working on a big project of open source, right?
Yeah.
Helping developers or newcomer, right? Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So you just surprised me. Actually, actually,
Yeah.
I'm working on this project. It's an open source community, like
Okay.
an open source academy kind of things. So actually, we are at this phase where I'm contacting mentors because we need mentors that will actually guide people, right? So it's really, it won't be like a formal academy or whatever. It will be something really interactive where we meet once a week with your mentor and
Okay.
you share your struggles, right? um, so for example, we can be in a community call and you share your struggles and the mentor will actually help you guys to get unlocked on those struggles. So yeah, the product is ready, guys. It's I will publish it very soon. I'm looking for two more mentors, very good experienced guys are willing to help. So yeah, I think I will be publishing it very soon in the community. Actually, I'll share my link. I'll share the link to you so you can share it to people. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So I have many questions, but I think the time is going fast. Let me check in the chats if there is some questions. Uh, okay. Gary, and then my question is okay. So there is a question of Epsonic. Yeah, he's saying hello everyone. My question is how to make your open source to be to be to be contribute by many developer when you are students. I don't know if you can see the question on. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
see the question. Yeah.
Apesonic, right?
All right.
Uh, yeah, I think for most of the projects, they always start in small communities, right? And let's say you have a project, you can start alone, but the project has to be good enough to attract people's attention, right? So I would say that to get started as a student, you have a lot of people in your classroom or wherever. You can get those people first start contributing because those platforms like GitHub, they rank projects depending on the contribution or the activities on the project. So if a project has a lot of peers and you have maybe a few friends helping you contributing to the project, right?
Yeah.
If those friends are creating issues, they are creating PRs, the project is actually active, GitHub will rank it on top. So, we have a lot of people. You can use a lot of channels like Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever to talk about your projects, right? But the very first step is to have people, like maybe a small group of people who can be considered as maintainers. We talked about maintainers, and every project has a group of maintainers. So as maintainers, your role will be uh, to create activities in the repository, so it will be ranked because there are a lot of projects. So if you need your project to be noticed by people, you need to have activity in that project. Activities means issues, PRs, merge, and and so on. So we need to have people who are actually contributing, and those contributions will help your project to be ranked by those platforms. I will maybe let me see if I can share something. Let's see questions first
No,
because
no. Continue. Can you continue and then you will come back to this one?
yeah, sure. I'll need to share my screen for a second. You asked, are you seeing my screen, by the way? Not sure. Let me present again. Present. Share screen. Okay, yeah. So let's go here and let's see github.com. So in this, this is GitHub. This is GitHub project. We all know about this. I think we can ask Copilot. Give me. So we can use these Copilot things, which can be like they can also help us to select projects we need to contribute to. And if you need your projects to be ranked among these projects, for example, the reason why these projects are here on top is not because they are paying GitHub or whatever. It's just because they have a lot of activities. So people are actually contributing to those projects. So you need to make sure that your project has some activities. And I think before opening your project to the public, I always recommend people to have a very solid project first. So something that you can easily share to the world shamelessly, right? So yeah, this is just an example of how you can make your projects be ranked as a top project by GitHub. We also have those other platforms like Only Dusts. I think Only Dusts will help you guys. They can pay you bounties depending on your contributions. So maybe we have some time to talk about it in the future. Yeah. Can one build a career around contributing to a business project like pursue to financial gains while contributing? Yeah. Very good question from Motundu. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to earn in this open source world. Actually, like one of the obvious ways to first build a reputation. So when you have reputation, you will get noticed by people. As I said in the chat, like sometimes you are just at home, quiet, and someone texts you just because he saw a PR you made maybe 2 years ago in a certain project which was open source. And when you are contributing to open source projects, it's actually a proof that I actually know this, and you are doing it publicly, right? Compared to projects that are closed source. For example, when you are working in a company which is not open source, your contribution will never be public. So you can just say I'm a TypeScript developer, but we don't have any proof of that. But contributing to open source projects, people actually know, they can testify from commits you have done in the past that you are actually a developer. Apart of that, there are a few projects which give bounties. Bounties is like an issue which once solved, you get paid for it. And some of these bounties are crazy. You have bounties of thousands of dollars, because some open source projects are actually commercial, right? People are selling those open source projects, and some solutions need a quick solution. And to have developers engaging in those bounties, they actually put money on those issues. So let's say we have an issue which has $1,000 bounty. If you solve 5 of those issues in the month, it's actually a very good amount of money. But you need to be actually good, because you need to be actually good at all those skills we talked about in the first presentation, which are communication, technical skills, to be engaged in the community. So because people won't give you a bounty task if you are not active in the community. So it's actually like So seeing the financial advantage of it, actually, it can be a little hard, right? But a lot of people watch open source. A lot of people use open source products. How many companies use React, for example? And imagine yourself contributing to React, and then you apply to a React position, right? Like you are building the framework behind those companies' products. You have a lot more chances of getting hired. So it's like the financial advantage is kind of hidden, but there are some advantages. And I like, just to wrap up with this question, I always advise people, if you want to start with open source, I always advise people to not put money first stuff, because it can take years of hundreds of contribution before your profile get noticed. So I mean, contributing to open source should first come from the willingness to share. I think that's the main idea. And I would say our mentor Linus Torvalds is one of the most like incredible guys in the tech, like in the history of our industry, right? He open sourced Linux, something that he could get millions of dollars from, right? But he decided to open it to everyone. So I think that's willingness to first share should come first, and obviously we get financial advantages. Yeah. This really aligned with your purpose. I mean, I think that's the first step to contribute on is using to understanding. Yeah, exactly, Nick. This is actually what I was saying. You need to make sure that you use the tool, because even creating an issue, you need to understand how the tool works, right? Yeah, that's really important.
All right. Thank you so much, Pacifique Linjanja, for this inspiring and practical session. We have learned today a lot of things that breaking into open source doesn't require perfection. It requires taking that first step, making your contribution visible and staying consistent. So thank you also for everyone who joined us this live today. Thank you for your energy, your questions, and your presence. We hope this session gave you the clarity and motivation to start your own open source journey. So before we close, just a few reminders. This session will remain available on YouTube. So yeah, you can try to come to see it again once you have another time. So feel free to rewatch it and share it with your friends. Also follow Open Source Kigali for updates on future events like this. And the most important, don't wait, take action, contribute, and yeah, let's open source accelerate your career. So once again, a big thank to Pacifique Linjanja for the time, yeah, for this energy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this session. So I think we are ending our session, and yes, all right. So bye, and let's get in touch. So you can follow Open Source Kigali on LinkedIn. Also, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Didas Mbarushimana. I'm a software engineer and open source advocate. So every day I share on LinkedIn. So feel free to ask me some question. Also, Pacifique, you can follow him on LinkedIn. You are free to ask him a questions. So thank you so much, and have a good Sunday.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.